The moment no one expected unfolded in real time, without warning, without preparation. A live broadcast that began with laughter and relaxed energy suddenly shifted into something raw and deeply uncomfortable. Millions were watching when Jamie Dornan visibly struggled to hold himself together, his expression changing in a way no performance could fake. The shock wasn't that emotion appeared, but that it appeared so openly, with nowhere to hide. Only seconds earlier, the atmosphere had been light and familiar. The host smiled, the audience laughed, and the conversation flowed easily between colleagues who had shared screens and interviews before. Nothing about the setup suggested what was coming next. That contrast made the moment hit harder, because it exposed how quickly emotional control can collapse when something personal is unexpectedly touched. The trigger was a single remark from Dakota Johnson. It wasn't loud or dramatic, and it certainly wasn't delivered with the intent to shock. On the surface, it sounded reflective, even gentle, framed as a passing comment rather than a revelation. Yet the words landed with unusual force, carrying meaning that went far beyond what the audience initially heard. Those familiar with Jamie noticed the change instantly. His posture stiffened, his smile faded, and for a brief moment, he stopped responding altogether. Silence stretched in a way live television rarely allows, creating a tension that felt almost intrusive. When he finally looked up, the emotion in his eyes was unmistakable, and the room seemed to realize it was witnessing something unplanned. What made the moment so powerful was its authenticity. Jamie had spent years maintaining composure in public, deflecting personal topics with humor or charm. Seeing that discipline break, even briefly, suggested the comment had reached something deeply guarded. This wasn't embarrassment or nerves. It was recognition, the kind that surfaces when a truth is spoken aloud before you are ready to hear it. Dakota's reaction only intensified the atmosphere. She appeared to realize, almost immediately, that her words had gone further than intended. Her expression shifted from ease to concern, yet she did not interrupt or attempt to soften what had been said. That pause, her decision to remain quiet, allowed the moment to stand on its own, uncorrected and undeniably real. The audience response was instant and divided. Some viewers leaned forward, sensing they were watching an unscripted emotional release. Others grew uncomfortable, aware they were witnessing something personal that perhaps wasn't meant for them. Live television rarely grants time for reflection, yet in that moment, everything slowed, forcing viewers to sit with the discomfort rather than escape it. Commentators later noted how rare such vulnerability is in controlled media environments. Celebrities are trained to manage reactions, to redirect conversations before they become too revealing. Jamie's visible struggle broke that expectation, reminding audiences that emotional limits exist no matter how practiced someone becomes. The moment felt less like a breakdown and more like a crack in a carefully built wall. Speculation erupted almost immediately once the clip began circulating. People replayed the exchange repeatedly, analyzing tone, phrasing, and timing. What exactly had Dakota said that carried such weight? The lack of a clear answer only fueled curiosity, turning a fleeting live moment into an ongoing debate about boundaries, honesty, and emotional exposure. By the time the broadcast ended, the damage was already done, not to reputations, but to illusion. The idea that everything on screen is controlled, rehearsed, and emotionally safe no longer held. One sentence had pierced that assumption, leaving behind a moment that could not be edited out or explained away. And as the footage continued to spread, one thing became clear. This was not a scene audiences would forget anytime soon. The aftermath of that live moment unfolded far beyond the studio, echoing across social media, news outlets, and fan communities within minutes. Clips were replayed in slow motion, captions rewritten again and again, each version trying to pin down the exact second when emotion overtook control. What had been a fleeting exchange now felt permanent, preserved and dissected from every possible angle. For Jamie Dornan, the days that followed carried a noticeable shift. He did not rush to clarify or contextualize what viewers had seen. Instead, he allowed the silence to settle, a choice that transformed the moment from spectacle into something heavier. His absence from immediate commentary suggested that what surfaced on that stage was not meant to be reframed or softened. Those close to Jamie described the reaction as long overdue rather than unexpected. Years of carefully maintaining distance between public image and private emotion can create pressure that has nowhere to go. When Dakota Johnson spoke, her words did not create new pain, but uncovered something that had already been there. The tears, in that sense, were not about the sentence itself, but about recognition. Dakota's role in the aftermath became a subject of intense focus. She did not apologize publicly, nor did she explain herself. Observers noted her composed demeanor in subsequent appearances, a quiet steadiness that contrasted sharply with the chaos online. That contrast led many to believe her comment was not careless, but honest, spoken without anticipation of its impact. Speculation around the content of her words only grew. Some believed she referenced a shared experience that had never been acknowledged openly. Others suggested she touched on a personal struggle Jamie had kept hidden behind humor and professionalism. Without confirmation, every interpretation revealed more about the audience's expectations than the truth itself. Media analysts began framing the incident as a rare collision between authenticity and performance. Live television thrives on spontaneity, yet it also relies on predictability. When that balance breaks, the result can feel invasive. Many questioned whether viewers had crossed an ethical line by demanding explanations for a moment that clearly carried personal weight. As conversations evolved, the focus shifted away from blame and toward meaning. Why did this moment resonate so strongly? Part of the answer lay in vulnerability. Seeing a public figure visibly affected by something intangible reminded audiences that emotional reactions cannot always be scheduled or suppressed. That reminder felt both uncomfortable and deeply human. For Jamie, the incident quietly altered how he was perceived. No longer just the composed actor or charismatic interview guest, he became someone audiences associated with emotional honesty, even when unintended. That shift carried risk, but also depth, expanding his image beyond the controlled narratives usually attached to celebrity. Dakota, meanwhile, was increasingly seen as a catalyst rather than a provocateur. Her silence after the event was interpreted by some as respect, by others as confidence. In refusing to explain, she allowed the moment to remain what it was, unfiltered and unresolved. That refusal denied the media a neat conclusion, forcing the story to linger in ambiguity. Over time, the intensity began to fade, replaced by reflection. Fans revisited past interviews, noticing moments that now seemed charged with subtext. Yet no definitive answers emerged. The absence of clarification became the conclusion, suggesting that some experiences are not meant to be translated into headlines. What endured was the emotional truth of that live exchange. It exposed the fragile line between professional composure and personal reality, a line often invisible until crossed. The tears were not a failure of control, but a sign of authenticity breaking through a polished surface. In the end, the most shocking element was not what Dakota Johnson said, but what it revealed. A reminder that behind practiced smiles and rehearsed responses are real emotions waiting for the smallest opening. And once revealed, those emotions do not belong to the audience, no matter how compelling the moment may be. That refusal denied the media a neat conclusion, forcing the story to linger in ambiguity.